Hey guys, what's going on? Cover Killer here. Let me get this a little bit softer for you guys. A lot of you guys really wanted me to talk about this album. I had a lot of requests. I had a lot of private messages that were asking, what's your opinion on this Opeth album? What's your opinion on this other Opeth album? A lot of you wanted to hear what I thought about Ghost Reveries. This was the first album that they released, should I say, on Roadrunner Records back in 2005, I do believe. I will have to check on that real quick, because even though I am an Opeth expert, I do sometimes get everything a little bit switched up. I was right, it is 2005. I should just learn to trust myself. And this was just an album where it was really going to be do or die for a lot of people, because Damnation and Deliverance was a very night and day type scenario. Love both of those albums to death, abso-fucking-lutely. But Ghost Reveries was going to be an album that a lot of people were going to hold underneath a microscope, considering they transferred over to the Roadrunner label. So, whenever Ghost Reveries comes out, or whenever it came out, as I said, this was definitely held under a microscope by a lot of fans, including myself, considering I considered myself to be the most diehard Opeth fan out of all of my friends, out of everybody that I basically knew, and out of my entire college campus. So, if anyone was going to hold this album under a microscope, it was going to be me. Let's get to some semantics first before I talk to you about this album. It's an 8-track affair, clocks in at 66 minutes, 46 seconds long. If I remember correctly, this is the perhaps third or fourth album in my Opeth review series. Let's go over the track listing. Starts off with a thunderous Ghost of Perdition. This one comes out and really just takes you right away into the power. This is something that they love to do live. They love to play the song live. You'll hear it often at a live Opeth concert. So if you go to see them live, you're going to hear Ghost of Perdition, almost guaranteed. Track number 2, Bang of the Hounds. I really love this particular song. And the reason why is because of the keyboards in this song, actually. Pierre Weberg, should I say, was just... He was amazing on this album. The way that he was able to interlace the keyboards into the harder edge sound of Opeth, it really fit together. Like, you remember whenever you were a kid and you had those blocks that you had to put into the correct holes. And you know how everybody always says, that's like putting a square peg in a round hole. Well, this was like putting the square peg in the square hole, because it fit absolutely perfect. Track number 3 is Beneath the Mire, another good 8 minute long track that goes into track number 4, which is Atonement. Track number 5 is the song that you're listening to right now, entitled Reverie / Harlequin Forest. This track is amazing. I love this song to death. This was actually a song that I didn't like for a long time, until I really just got down to it, listened to it, and we're actually getting to one of my favorite parts right up here. This is a song that, of course, accentuates what I love to say about meandering levels, something that Opeth is fantastic for, something that I personally love in music. You definitely hear Mikael's transition from his growling vocals and his clean vocals plain as day, but at the same time, to back that up, to really couple it, you hear the music doing the same thing. The music is going from the aggressiveness to the sort of mellow to the absolute near silence of moments like this one, where it's positively haunting. All you hear is the faint little sprite of the guitar and Mikael's soft, soothing voice. Very, very cool atmosphere that they really developed for this song. Cool little instrumental part that you're going to hear a little bit later on in this review. In fact, I'll probably turn it up whenever we get to it. Hours of Wealth is track number 6. Track number 7 is the song that was actually the first quote-unquote single off of this release. It was, of course, mangled a little bit for the radio play, called The Grand Conjuration. And track number 8 is Isolation Years. And I'm going to get this ready to actually turn up, because this is just going to set the atmosphere perfectly. Because I do not have... this is an album that I have something very unique to say about. The Tree. This was an Opeth album that the first time I listened to it, I really didn't like it. I know. Almost impossible for that thought to even enter into my brain. And after listening to the album an umpteenth number of times since then, I can't believe how stupid I was the first time I listened to this album. Because this album, for what it is, for the Roadrunner debut, for the official introduction of Pierre Weaver into the band as the keyboardist. It is truly one of the best and strongest pieces of material in their catalog, including their older stuff. Why, you might be asking? Why this particular album? You're probably saying this about every Opeth album, Mark. You really are just a little Opeth ass kisser. No. They stress things that need to be stressed. Variety. You hear the variety throughout. People are strong whenever they need to be strong. One thing that caused the Beatles to get so much acclaim is because their four musicians were so multifaceted and they were allowed to do different things in the band. They were allowed to sing, they were allowed to play their instruments, they even tried things up a little bit. You saw that with Pink Floyd. You've seen that with Peter Tatterton with his particular project entitled, oh God, just lost it, The Abyss, I believe it is. But you see this a lot. And while Opeth doesn't switch up and make Mikael the drummer, or say, do something like that, what they do is they give everybody their fair opportunity to shine. Michael's vocals, or should I say Mikael's vocals, will ring true. It's an almost constant affair because he's a vocal perfectionist, let's face it. But you'll have moments like this where the music will take you away. You'll hear elements where Pierre's keyboards will take you away. And listen to that triumphant return. It's almost like a little diversion, a little break. It shows that the other members of the band are very, very active. They're extremely talented musicians, and they do get their opportunity to shine. Sometimes you do not see that in music. That is what really sparked me to this album, is that it was a whole collective affair. It was very well polished, so of course it was very well produced. This album, whenever I compiled my list of best album of 2005, I believe was number 4. If I were to revise that list today, there's a very, very good opportunity that it would be number 1. Simply because this album has not only grown on me that much, but also I've grown to understand through my own musical development what exactly was being aimed for in this album and what really has been aimed for in every subsequent Opeth release, which includes only Watershed, which I will review at a later date, and you'll hear my thoughts on that. So what's there not to say? Opeth is my favorite band, so am I slightly biased? It's very possible. However, this was an album that I initially gave a 9.1. I'm going to revise that and bump it up to a 9.5. There are certain elements that are a little weak in places. There are certain moments where you're just kind of thinking, okay. But if you listen to a song that has the power, the passion, and the aggression of A Ghost of Perdition or The Bang of the Hounds, and then you listen to Isolation Years, which is somber, depressing, loathing, brooding, sadness, and you want to say that Opeth is not a dynamic band, you will definitely want to re-examine your thinking.